what's up guys, Carrigan back in the video, and today I want to do my what if series. What if Sakura was jinchuriki, part 11. So, in the last part, in part 10 there, we did see Jiraiya was talking to Akashi there. Mostly Jiraiya mostly mentioned, or Akashi was mentioning to Jiraiya there, saying about the Hokage job there. He said he was mostly turning it down there, but his one main concern was to find somebody who can fill in that role there and stuff. And he was also talking about the Akatsuki there to Akashi, saying they're gonna go after Naruto and Sakura there. And then he's like, I mostly have to leave into your hands, Jiraiya and stuff. He's like, well, don't worry, I'll take good care of them there. So technically, he meets up with Naruto there. And he's like, where's your little friend there? Mostly Sakura there. She was mostly, they go over to Sakura's house and say, hey, you want to go with us? And then she's like, really? I'm pretty busy there, Naruto, and stuff. And he's like, and mostly, I was actually saying, oh, I will teach you a new jutsu. She's like, really? And stuff. And mostly they go there and stuff. Mostly Sakura and Naruto go there. And, technically, Itachi comes to the village there. And then he's like, what are you doing there? And he's like, I'm trying to go after somebody. The fourth. He's like, what are you trying to do? Trying to go after the Sharingan? He's like, no. There, I'm going after the fourth Hokage's legacy, and in the fourth Hokage put in that legacy is also in that girl the fourth Hokage had it on. He's like, you're talking about Naruto and Sakura there. He's like, back off there, and he's like, hold on. He's like, I'm not gonna let you capture them and stuff. And mostly, Akashi fights Itachi there, and we'll see Sasuke was telling him, he's like, what actually happened there. Ninja comes in and blurts it out, saying Itachi was here and he was going after Sakura, or Sasuke and Naruto and Sakura there. And he's like, wait, they're going after Sakura there? Technically, Naruto and Sakura were actually having the day of their life there. They almost got in, they were not being interrupted there. They were about to kiss there, and then technically Jiraiya ruined it there. He's like, what? Probably say you ruined the moment there. He's like, oh yeah, I'll show you there. And he's like, and stuff, and they mostly interrupted Jiraiya's little thing there. And he's like, both of you watch, and he does the Rasengan there. Hits the dude like a pinwheel into that. He's like, wait, what you did there? You hit that dude like a pinwheel. He's like, yeah, this is the jutsu I know there. So technically, he's like, well, we need to go and find it there. Naruto and Sakura were technically training there, and Itachi comes out of nowhere. They flee. Mostly they the thing there. Mostly he beats the living crap out of Sasuke, and mostly Guy comes in and kicks Jiraiya in the face, takes Sasuke back, and they go off to their journey. So that was in part 10. So it's going to part 11 there. So, so they were mostly going there and stuff. He's like, well, there was like, and mostly Naruto and Sakura's like, wait, why those men are after us and stuff? And mostly Jiraiya's like, well, you have something there. You both have something there and stuff like that. And mostly Sakura kind of remember it pretty good. She's like, wait, you're talking about the Nine Tails, right? And he's like, he's like, how you know that there? He's like, me and Naruto both actually have the Nine Tails in us there, and I kind of noticed that there. And then mostly Naruto's like, wait, what? Wait, we have this on that thing? And he's like, yeah, there. I already told you about this, Naruto. And he's like, oh yeah, I totally forgot there. I might see Naruto actually doing that. He's like, well, he's like, yes, there. those men are trying to go after you, but not just they don't want both of you, but they want the beasts inside of you, and that's the one thing we need to get you training there so you can actually get stronger there. And they're like, yeah, and stuff. And then mostly, I think Naruto and Sakura were bugging Jiraiya there, like, oh come on, we can do our training there and stuff. He's like, we need to find somebody there. So the Rasengan training he actually does there. I think he does the Rasengan training there much quicker there. He gives Naruto and Sakura the balloon. They're like, wait, a balloon there? What are you doing? And then you need to figure this out. And then mostly pops it there. I'm like, wait, what? How you did that and stuff? And he's like, you need to do this. So he mostly shows it once there. I think they get it down a little bit more quicker, minus the cat showing what Naruto did in the original series. I think Sakura kind of figures it out first because she knows how to. She is kind of a little bit smarter there, so she kind of figures it out and kind of like mostly pressures her chakra there. She's like, you need to make your chakra kind of do this, but you can also use your fingers there, Naruto. That's what I did. I used my fingers in it, and it popped right away. So Naruto did his fingers there, and it pops. And then he's like, mostly Jiraiya comes back. He's like, oh, pretty good there. He's like, and he showed him where they popped the balloon. The rubber ball there might be a little bit longer there. I think the rubber ball there, it took him a while to actually get the rubber ball down like it did in the original series. It might take like weeks and stuff like that to get it down. But I think they mastered it there with the rubber ball. It was doing it there mostly. They're like, damn, this is so hard and stuff. And then Naruto actually kind of squeezed it there, and then he's like, and it mostly flat in there and stuff like this is no good and stuff. And then they're trying to figure out how to pop the rubber ball there. So technically, the rubber ball, Sakura used her genjutsu there, or not really genjutsu, but she kind of tapped it there. She's like, kind of tapped it and it doesn't work. She's like, okay, and then she mostly pressured around there, and it finally explode like it was supposed to. And then he's like, oh, and then mostly she kind of taught Naruto how to do the basics on that. So yeah, she's like, this is how you do it, and then it pops in there. And I think they get the Rasengan kind of down. They can make a tiny Rasengan there at this point, or maybe maybe the size of the palm of the hand at this point there. And he's like, okay, let's go try to find Tsunade. So they go to the tavern there. I think they go to the tavern. Tsunade's drunk off her ass. She's like, ugh, Tsunade, I can't believe I lost another bet there. I might see that there. And then he's like, well, it's here. He's like, wait, Jiraiya, what are you doing here? And who are these two? And he's like, this is Naruto and Sakura there. This is Naruto Uzumaki and Sakura Haruno and stuff. And she's like, ugh. And he's like, wait a minute, they're both the Nine Tails, right? She's like, buzz off there. And then mostly, suddenly she was mouthing the third Hokage there, and she's like, you can't disrespect the old man there and stuff like that. And then mostly Sakura's like, Naruto, you need to listen to her. And she's like, what are you gonna do, you little brat? You can't do nothing there. She's like, you're so freaking weak there and stuff like that. And she's like, I want to knock you flat for that. And then she's like, Naruto's like, I will take you on there and stuff. And then Sakura's like, yeah, me too. And then he's like, you both brats are gonna take me on there. I might have enjoyment there. So technically, Naruto and Sakura go out in there, and they're like, okay, bring it there. And so she's like, with pleasure. And then we'll see, Naruto was getting ready there. Sakura's getting ready, and so he's like, oh, I'm just gonna use one finger on both of you there, and Tsunade was actually saying that. She's like, and then Naruto's like using his shadow clones, and then she's like, boom. He's like, that's all you got, and mostly Sakura's like, yeah, and then boom, and then she's like, oh, or not shot, and she's like, ugh. And then mostly she uses shadow clone. She's like shadow clone jutsu, and then mostly she was getting welded, getting pushed back there and stuff. She's like, oh man, you guys are weak and stuff. And then Naruto building up the Rasengan. He's like, take this, ah. And then she's like, what? And then mostly Sakura comes in. She's like, I'm right behind you, ah. And then she's like, oh crap. And mostly she kind of got nicked, and she's like, oh. And then she can see the blood. Mostly smashing, mostly hitting the ground pretty hard, and with the technically Naruto goes into the ground. Sakura, she mostly gets knocked back into gets knocked back there, and then she mostly sees her finger kind of all screwed up. She's like, and then she's like, basically like most of Jiraiya's like, oh, you're really doing that there, and she's like, why you brought these kids here and Jiraiya there? And then he's like, well, they really want to challenge you, and then they actually did pretty well there with it. And then he's like, you know what, why are you teaching the Rasengan there? And mostly she's like, also, why are you guys teaching these two the Rasengan there? She's like, wait, and they're like, Naruto and Sakura are like, wait, the Rasengan? And then he's like, well, they did pretty well there, actually handling that there and stuff like that. She's like, you mostly were totally off guard there and stuff. And then she's like, she's like, she mostly made a bet with Naruto and Sakura there, saying, well, okay, I will throw in my necklace there if you freaking master that in a week's time there. And then they're like, yeah, we can do this, believe it. And then mostly Sakura's like, yeah, cha, and stuff. And technically Naruto and Sakura were technically training there. I might see him training there with the Rasengan training there. I think they might get it down a little bit better, and they might get it down a little bit quicker there in like the original series. So Jiraiya there, he was actually in the tavern there, and I like it there. He was actually drinking his thing there, and then technically freaking Jiraiya technically got drugged out by Tsunade, and then he's like, they're like, you okay, Jiraiya? And mostly Sakura's like, you okay, Jiraiya? He's like, yeah, that's Tsunade there. She slipped me a Mickey. I might see him doing that there. I like he actually saying that there, and they're like, we need to go after her and stuff. She's like, what it is there? He's like going after Orochimaru there. He's like, oh, Orochimaru, yeah. He's like, yeah. He's like, we need to stop her from it. Technically, that still plays out the same. Tsunade was technically running after Orochimaru there. She's like, get back here and stuff, and then she's like, oh, there. You're mostly going against me. She's like, can it there? And then mostly she was fighting Orochimaru there, kicking his ass at first, and then mostly Naruto, Sakura, Shizune all arrived there. They're like, oh, there, it's Naruto. Oh, and a little Sakura there. And that's what the Orochimaru says. She's like, well, you can't do nothing against us there. And mostly he's like, oh, yeah, the Metal Kill Ninja. She's like, I can handle these two. So mostly Kabuto was going to be fighting Naruto and Sakura there. And they're like, wait, Kabuto there, what are you doing here? And she's like, don't worry about Naruto. He's like our enemy there. Let's get him. And then mostly they're like throwing hands there and stuff like that. using shadow clones, and mostly Kabuto is mostly pushing both of them back. Um, so mostly Kabuto is mostly pushing him back there, and then mostly Tsunade gets mostly he was darting right at Sakura, and then mostly Tsunade jumps in like, ugh. She's like, you can't really believe this, jackass. There, you need to learn there. He's like, wait, what? It's like, you bastard. And then mostly Sakura does her cherry blossom jutsu. She's like, and he's like, wait, cherry blossoms? He's like, oh, this is a genjutsu, and he releases it pretty quick. And Naruto comes in. He's like, I can't believe you hurt her. And then mostly he gets stabbed. She's like, Naruto, no. He's like, take this, Rasengan, boom. And then he wants Kabuto went straight to the fucking wall. And then he's like, that's impressive there. And it's like, oh, dang, how he did that there. And mostly Naruto was collapsed on the ground. Technically Sakura was like, no, Naruto, no, and stuff. And then mostly he's like, stand back, girl, I can save him. Mostly Tsunade was actually saying that there, and he was like, tough there. And then she's like, just hold him there. I can handle it there. And mostly they do the Sonic fight plays out the same. The Tsunade fight plays out the same there, and technically Naruto they flee there. Orochimaru and Kabuto flee, and mostly Sakura. Mostly he's like, you won the bet, Naruto, and mostly gives him the necklace there, and he's like, I can't really wear this too much, but and then he's like, you know what? And he takes out the thing. He's like, I can wear the strap there, Sakura, and then mostly puts the necklace on. I might say he might give a necklace, the crystal there to Sakura there, and mostly puts like another wrap around it. She's like, well, this is so beautiful there, Naruto. He's like, yep, this is mostly from the fourth Hokage, or from the third Hokage, and then they go to the hot springs there. Or it's like, it's time to go back to the Hidden Leaf Village, and that's where the episode, or that's where the what if ends. So yep, comment, rate, my response to bros. If you like, love, please subscribe for the button, catch from so bulletin live streams. Bros. Okay, I'm out.